Hello, if you are watching now, you have entered the no bullshit zone with me, your host and commentator, Cade Peterson, and the videographer, Will Rogers. So today we're going to talk about a pretty hot topic that's been in the news a lot lately, which is the migrant caravan that started in Honduras and other Central American countries, made its way through Mexico to the U.S.-Mexico border very recently. So, as most of you already know, the liberal news media, mainstream media in general, has tried to make it seem like the migrant caravan is just a bunch of innocent people and people seeking asylum who really are just looking for a better life for themselves and their family. They've also tried to make it seem like it was mainly women and children, which there is, I'll concede, some truth to that. However, the Department of Homeland Security has reported that just about 90% of the caravan are military-aged men. So, we got to balance out where, yes, there are probably some women and children, probably some innocent people looking for a better life for themselves and their family. But also, there are definitely people who have infiltrated the caravan who are not looking to do good things, not looking to build a better life for themselves and their family, looking to do harm to our country and not coming here with the interests of our nation in mind. So today, we're going to elaborate on where the truth ends and the bullshit begins. So, mainstream media outlets such as CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, and so on have been reporting things like this. I'll take you to a New York Times article where it says that a Texas-based advocacy group that has been helping the entourage scoffed in the notion that this group was a menace to the United States. They are poor and harmless, he said, and they are excited to be a part of the United States. So my question is, if they're so excited to be a part of the United States, why were there so many pictures of caravan members toting flags of their home country, such as the Honduras flag, the Guatemalan flags, or other flags of Central American nations, and even Mexican flags? Matter of fact, I even saw some Syrian flags. I even saw some Palestinian flags. If you really dig deep, you can tell that these people's patriotism is not for the United States. Their loyalty still rests with the country they came from. But they want to come to the United States, A, because as many people from El Salvador and other Central American countries have come to join gangs, and such as MS-13. I mean, that's been a very big problem, especially in the northeast section of the United States. There's been a lot of problems in New York, even the Long Island area, with MS-13 gangs, and also some of them could very possibly be drug smugglers, because a lot of the drugs that come into the U.S., such as heroin, crack cocaine, what have you, has come from the U.S.-Mexico border. And many of them could very possibly be drug smugglers. I also saw a video that was televised with, it was a national news network. I can't remember exactly which one, but I remember they asked this man about why he was coming to the United States. They said, in his response, when he was asked why he's coming to the United States, was because he was being prosecuted in his home country. Okay, so we're going to show you this guy who was convicted of attempted murder and is coming to the U.S. to seek a pardon for his Class 3 felony. Let's see.
Conference from the leaders, the Pueblo Sin Fronteras group. And if you look here, you can see them all in this square. They're very tired. They've been going since October 13th. There's a lot of coughing here. They've got blisters on their feet. It's been tough, but they say that they're not accepting Mexico's offer for temporary asylum, temporary jobs, temporary health care, and they're definitely not heeding President Trump's warnings to not show up at the border. They all say they're coming. Organizers here say, in fact, the group may be too big, but yet they're still going to go forward, and they're going to show up on the border. One person who's probably not going to have luck once he gets there is Jose, we spoke to earlier, who had prior convictions. Take a listen. Are you willing to break the law to get back to the United States?
Yo quiero entrar y pedir un perdón.
He says he wants to apply for pardon for the felony he committed.
Can you ask him exactly what happened?
¿Cuál es tu felonía exactamente?
Number 3.
A third-degree felony?
Intento de matar.
Attempt of murder.
But not everybody has
Okay.
convictions. We're supposed to
Well,
know
it doesn't
that.
look like
There's it.
his asylum claim is going to work out too well for him, but that's just kind of goes to show you that we're not exactly dealing with all angels here. And another question I have about the so-called caravan, I would go as far to call it an invasion, but anyway, so if you're coming to a foreign country to seek asylum and because you are fleeing persecution or other types of oppression in your home country, you would think that as you come onto foreign soil, to the United States, you would want to be as peaceful as possible. But these people kind of have a sense of entitlement. When a caravan of people comes to the borders of the United States and tries to force entry, that is an invasion. And then, what happens if you try and force your way into a foreign country and throw rocks at their border patrol agents? Do you think they're just gonna, we'll just step out of the way for you and let you by? No. They're lucky all that happened was they got tear gassed. I'm surprised rubber bullets weren't fired. I think the border patrol agents showed a tremendous amount of restraint given the situation. And yet, the liberal media found a way to spin this as the border patrol being too tough. And they always find a way to bring it back on Trump. And let me just say that I am glad we have a president that is willing to defend our borders, deploy military troops, do whatever it takes, make the fence stronger, eventually build a wall, do whatever it takes to secure the borders of our country, because you do not have a country if you do not have borders. And he is fighting against so much. He's fighting against the Washington establishment. He's fighting against the mainstream media. He's fighting against the Clinton machine, the globalist machine. I mean, there's so much this guy is fighting against just to do what's right by our country. It's time for some no bullshit commentary. So, I've discussed the issue of the caravan, the issue of... I'm honestly giving both sides, I feel. I feel I've showed the view of the New York Times, which shares the same view as pretty much the rest of the mainstream liberal news media. And I've also shown some of the things about the caravan that I guess you could say is pretty bad. It kind of shows that they're not coming here for peace, and they're not even entering peacefully. They're trying to enter our country in a forceful way. So to me, that tells me right there that these are not all people we want in our country. If you want to immigrate to the United States, that's great. Immigration definitely is a big part of what makes the United States what it is. But we have a process, and one could argue that the process needs fixing. I would agree with that to a point. To an extent, I would agree with that. But as of now, the law is the law, and it needs to be followed. And if you try and enter our country contrary to the process we have in place, to the laws we have in place, that is a crime in of itself. Entering when you're not following process, entering illegally is illegal. No matter how you want to spin it, no matter if the media wants to spin it as a bunch of women and children fleeing violence in their home country, which is, as I've shown, is not the case. They are throwing rocks. They are trying to break down our fences. Many of them are MS-13 members. There have even been reports of people from the Middle East trying to infiltrate the caravan. They're definitely gang members that have infiltrated the caravan. These people are trying to enter our country in a forceful way. It needs to be stopped. 90% of them are military-aged men. These are not all people we want to enter our country. some of them may have legitimate asylum plans, and that's great, as long as they immigrate here in accordance with the law. We are a nation of laws, and people who want to come here need to follow those laws. So, I've given my take on it. The migrant caravan definitely is an invasion, and definitely is not the group of innocent people that the mainstream media makes it out to be. Some of them are criminals and so on, as we've discussed. So I'd like to thank you for joining us today here in the No Bullshit Zone, where truth prevails and we flush bullshit down the toilet.